Okay, so let's finish the components. So the last two components, you have the indirect retainer and the denture base. Wait lang. Nakita yung aking browser. Okay, let's go to indirect retainer. So we're through with major, minor, res, direct, no? So the last two component is the indirect retainer and the denture base, no? So as I've said, if there is a component which is not often or not always used is the indirect retainer. And most of the time, when do we use an indirect retainer? If it's tooth tissue borne. Why? No? Kasi in a tooth borne, di ba remember the rule that says no component should be added or removed unless it serves a purpose. No? And if I have a tooth borne partial denture, all the possible forces which the denture encounter is already provided. The moment you have your two clasp, no, meron kang clasp, okay, you have your rest, no? So, if you design your tooth bone with a clasp on the anterior and the posterior, usually you don't need additional component. Para siyang, just like a fixed partial, di ba? Ang fixed partial, wala siyang masyadong horizontal forces. Kung meron man siyang movement, usually up and down lang, no? And just like fixed partial, ang tooth bone, if there is a type ng partial denture which resembles an FPD, is more of a tooth bone. Ang tooth bone kasi, more of ano lang yan siya vertical lang siya. Di ba? So, up and down, no? So, whenever there is a force, biting force, the tendency of the tooth is to move, the denture is to move down. If there is a dislodging force, it just goes up. Okay? And that is what we call support. If you have no tooth on both ends, so you already have support. What is dislodging? Diba you have to have horizontal, you have your vertical, and we have dislodging force, no? So when it comes to vertical forces, yung rest on both ends of your edentulous space already provides for support. And then, in terms of retention, provided your clasp is working, so hindi na yan matatanggal. So there is really the class that you place, no, and if it provides you with good retention, then usually that is enough, no? And then, how is your tooth borne? What about stability? Ba? Resistance to horizontal forces. And all your components are rigid, so it provides for stability. So bakit kapag maglalagay ng component? Why do you need an indirect retainer when all the possible movement is already provided for? Kaya nga kung pwedeng, kung make a denture, ang tawag dito, the easiest type ng partial denture would be a tooth borne. Ang hirap ng distal extension, no? In terms of that, why is a fixed partial recommended over an RPD? One is limited ang movement ng RPD. Limited ang movement ng FPD. Kung meron man siyang movement, as I've said, up and down, very minimal ang horizontal movement. Another is walang fulcrum. There are no fulcrums in an FPD. That lessens yung force that is transferred to the tooth. No? So, in a tooth borne, you already have support, retention, and stability. In contrast, no, kapag tooth tissue borne, movement towards the ridge, just like in a tooth borne, the denture will move towards the ridge. When you bite, no, yung ano, no, especially kung medyo matigas, no, and this is usually prevented by yung accurate fitting of your denture base. So, kaya tayo nagre-rebase kasi, di ba, alam natin, we know that if there is a space between the tissue and the denture base, mas may tendency ang denture to move down. So, to prevent movement of your denture towards the ridge, usually we refit the denture base to the existing condition of the tissue. Similarly, no, movement can be away from the residual ridge. And this is like yung tongue. Ang tongue usually moves your lower denture away, no? If you eat sticky food, so ang tendency ng denture natin is to move away from the residual ridge. Movement of the denture away from the residual ridge can be total dislodgement, matatanggal, no? So pag merong tawag dito, may force which tends to move it away from the residual ridge, it can be total dislodgement. If your clasp is not properly working, ang tendency niyan, matatanggal lang yung denture. But if your clasp is nagmo-move, or if your clasp is working, ang movement ng iyong denture base becomes rotational. Hindi siya natatanggal, umiikot lang siya. When you bite, it goes down. When there's a dislodging force, it goes up. But since your clasp is working, hindi siya matatanggal. Hindi siya natatanggal. Nagro-rotate lang siya. And this is the type of forces where an indirect retainer comes into play. So it's a indirect retainer, it's a component ng partial denture that assists in preventing movement of a distal extension base away from the residual direction opposite the fulcrum line. Every time you have a fulcrum, every time you have a distal extension, class 1, class 2, it is already subjected to 3 types of fulcrum. Kaya nga, ayaw mo ng distal extension eh. Kasi hindi pwedeng walang fulcrum. There will always be a point of rotation. Fulcrum, di ba? This is the point when subjected to different types of tanggal eh. Rotational. It's total dislodgement. What is an indirect retainer do? It prevents or it minimizes rotational movement. And when the denture rotates, it rotates a certain fulcrum, certain axis of rotation. So if you connect one fulcrum to another fulcrum, then you draw an imaginary line, which is known as anteriorly placed supporting element. And ano ba ang supporting element? Diba? It's the rest. In terms of component, the component which provides for support is the rest. So if you design it like this, may clasp ka on the mesial of your terminal abutment, yung rest that you place on that is one fulcrum. The other rest that you place on the other side is another fulcrum. If you connect this, now this is now called the fulcrum line. Then ang indirect retainer functions by moving the fulcrum line further away from the source of the force. Ang force, kasi ang source ng force is on the denture base, the edentulous space. So if you design, if the design is wala kang full indirect retainer, you only design it like this. Now yung rest mo nasa mesial, nasa 5 or 4. That's one fulcrum, that's one fulcrum, that's fulcrum line. And ang force, no, rotational forces is acting on the edentulous space. The force is very near the fulcrum line. Mas madali ang tendency for the it's like a seesaw, di ba? Na mas madali siyang umangat, no? Because ang lapit ng source, no, yung point ng rotation dun sa source ng dislodging force o ng rotational force. If you add an indirect retainer, so you place it more anterior to the primary res. And usually an indirect retainer is a res. And since in this case, no, wala ka ng paglalagyan sa posterior, so you place it anterior. So what happens? Your indirect retainer now moves the fulcrum line from the 5 or the 4 to whatever, baka sa 3, no, sa mesial ng 3, sa mesial ng 2. So depending on where you place your rest. Now you put additional rest, and since that rest is more anterior to the fulcrum line, shift ng indirect retainer yung fulcrum line away from the force. So nalilesen yung it actually lessens the amount of force that is placed on the denture. Kaya di ba ang indirect retainer, you place it further away from the fulcrum line. Nakuha niyo ako? You follow? And any question? Am my explanation clear? So linilipat mo yung fulcrum eh. Kasi magdadagdag ka ng additional component, additional supporting, additional rest. And that rest is usually placed away from the edentulous space. So isi-shift mo ngayon yung fulcrum line mo. Magpupunta siya ngayon doon sa anterior component. Mas malayo yung fulcrum, yung axis ng rotation doon sa force ng yun doon sa source ng force, and that is how an indirect retainer produce its function. So hindi, I remember somebody asked, ma'am, pwede po bang puro indirect? Hindi pwede. Di ba? Kasi kung puro indirect ka, wala kang direct retainer, diyan magro-rotate. It will get dislodged, tatanggal. Hindi rotational. So useless ang indirect retainer mo kung wala kang direct. Nakuha ko? Hindi na sinabi niya, it only assists the direct retainer. It does not function for retention. It assists the direct retainer. So, kung wala kang direct retainer, useless ang indirect retainer mo. Kasi what is only prevented or what is controlled by the indirect retainer is rotational movement. Kung matatanggal din lang, walang rotational movement. Okay? And, no? In a class 1, if you have class 1, fulcrum line is located horizontal. It passes through your rest that you place on your terminal abutment. So usually, class 1, ang fulcrum line ng class 1 is horizontal. Passing through the most posteriorly placed supporting element. Okay. In a class 2, it's usually diagonal. It passes through your terminal tooth on the distal extension side and the last tooth on the opposite side. Kaya horizontal siya. Fulcrum line in a class 2, usually diagonal siya. In a class 3, no, normally you don't have fulcrum. Kasi tooth-borne siya eh, no? So wala siyang you don't need fulcrum line. Well, you don't need an indirect retainer kasi basically you don't have a fulcrum. Wala siyang rotational movement. Up and down lang ang movement ng class 3. So there is no need for an indirect retainer unless yung case mo, yung posterior abutment mo is not a very good source. So in determining if you have a fulcrum line on a class 3, you consider the weaker abutment as non-existent. Like in this case, no? So second molar would be a better option than the third. So parang baliwala ang third. So there's parang walang third molar on the other side. So what happens to your design? It becomes class 2. Kaya, di ba, kung minsan sinasabi nila, how you classify your case determines how you design your case. Kung hindi mo ginamit ang third molar mo, in this case, dun sa picture, class 2 siya. You design the case for a class 2. Kung ginamit mo yung third molar sa abutment, it's a class 3. you don't need an indirect retainer. Kasi practically, all the different movements is already compensated. You follow? Pinakamaganda, kasi remember, when we design, or when we choose class, di ba may rule, may class pin configuration. The best configuration is quadrilateral 4. The best number of clasp is 4. And the wider the distance between the clasp, mas maganda ang cross arch stability. And if you have a class 4, class 3, may clasp ka on the anterior, may clasp ka on the posterior. Quadrilateral siya, 4. Ako may rule ako eh. May rule ako. No? This is my Lavinia's rule. You know my Lavinia's rule? No? It's what is the classification plus 1? So how many clasp in a class 1? Diba you have two, class 1 siya, no? So if you have class 1, ilan dapat ang class mo? Plus 1. So dapat dalawa ang class mo. If it's class 2, plus 1, class 3. If it's class 3, normally we don't need an indirect retainer. And class 4 usually requires 2 indirect retainer. So it depends on how you design your kung di ba pag tumitingin tayo where to put your indirect retainer, you have to remember first where the fulcrum line is. And normally, how is your classification for your cases will determine where the fulcrum line is. Kung class 1 yung classification mo, ang fulcrum line mo is horizontal. If your case is a class 2, yung yung fulcrum line mo is diagonal. If it's a class 3, you don't really have a fulcrum line. Kung parehong third molar yung case, no? May third molar ka nga, but you're not going to use the third molar as an abutment, you classify the case as distal extension, class 1. Nakuha niyo ko? You consider the posterior abutment as non-existent. Bali parang wala siya. And then you classify. And fulcrum line passes, no? In the case of a class 2, di ba, it passes through your anterior tooth on the distal extension side and the most posterior abutment on the other side. Okay. In a class 4, fulcrum line is always in the anterior, horizontal, but it is located anterior, adjacent to the edentulous space. Like tignan nyo yung case, yung picture, yung isang picture, di ba? It's designed for a class 2. Diagonal. It's class 4. Kung titignan nyo yung classification, it's class 4, di ba? Pero ang fulcrum line niya is diagonal, class 2. And usually kapag class 2, no, it only requires 3 clasp. And that's called tripod. Tripod configuration. In a class 1, it usually requires 2 clasp. That's called bilateral configuration. If it's a class 2, usually 3 clasp tripod. If it's a class 3, then you decide if it's a class 1, class 2, no? Then you decide it as if it's class 1 or class 2. And if it's a class 4, usually it requires 2 indirect retainer. But this time, since the edentulous space is located in the anterior, it is located as far posterior as possible. Nakuha nyo? To determine where the fulcrum line is, no? So, to determine where is the best position for the position, where to put the indirect retainer, ang rule kasi niyan is you look for the fulcrum line, draw a line perpendicular to the fulcrum line, and the longer this line, That's the best position for the tooth to be used as an indirect retainer. So like in this case, diba? So class 1, horizontal yung fulcrum line. If you draw a line that will be 90° to the fulcrum line, this will fall in a class 1. Usually it will fall on the incisors, which hindi kasi remember, even if it's just a res, it's a secondary res, it's still a res. It is still available, still can transfer forces. And alam natin, centrals and laterals are not good sources. Can I put it on the cuspid? Yes. Kung may premolar ka, ano sabi natin kanina? Between a cuspid and a premolar, mas maganda ang premolar. Lalo na, di ba? Lalo na if it's if you're going to place an indirect retainer on the mesial of the 4 or the distal of the 3, ayaw mo naman siguro, especially kung lower yan, you don't want it on the mesial of the 3 kasi aesthetics. So chances are, kung maglalagay kayo ng res on 3, especially on the lower, you put it on the distal to make it more aesthetically acceptable. Ano ba naman ang distance between the distal of the 3 to the mesial of the 4? And which is easier, better, di ba? An occlusal res, which is placed on the premolar, even if it's used as an indirect retainer, is better than an incisal res, which is placed on the distal of the cuspid. Pero pwede po ba akong maglagay? Yes. It's just that in terms of siguro convenience or whatever, no? You get my point? Nakuha niyo ako. Kaya nga walang design, walang parehong design. And since, no, bakit dalawang indirect retainer is required for class 1? Since the indirect retainer is too near the fulcrum line, to make it more effective, you place 2. Not yung indirect retainer mo on one side is for the other side. Cross arch. Yung sabi ko nga, plus 1. If you have class 1, plus 1, it requires 2 indirect retainers. If it's class 2, it only requires 1 indirect retainer. And normally, no, in a class, clear tayo, kasi masyadong malapit yung fulcrum line doon sa indirect retainer mo. Di ba one factor that determines how effective the indirect retainer is distance from the fulcrum line? The farther the indirect retainer from the fulcrum line, the better. And in the case of a class 1, dahil wala ka ng ipin, no, wala ka ng available tooth, usually you place the indirect retainer close to your fulcrum line. If I put it on the cuspid, mesial ng cuspid, in terms of distance, mas maganda siya. Kasi mas malayo siya. Bigger ang aking line perpendicular to the fulcrum line. Kuha niyo ko. But you have to consider aesthetics. You have to consider so many things, no? Naintindihan ba ako? Siguro naman, no? Okay. In a class 2, so this is, if you put 2 clasps in a class 1, this is usually called a bilateral configuration. And usually, if it's a bilateral configuration, it requires 2 indirect retainers. In a class 2, since the fulcrum line is diagonal, the best position for the indirect retainer, same, no? You draw a line perpendicular to the fulcrum line. And the longer this line, the better in terms of effectiveness of the indirect retainer. If you put 3 clasps, like in this case, no, if this is class 2 mod 1, yung first picture, diba, it's class 3 mod 1, fulcrum line is diagonal. If you're going to put a third clasp, class 2 siya, how many clasps does it require? It requires 3 clasps. 2 plus 1. So, dapat 3. This is called tripod configuration of clasp or tripod clasping configuration. Saan ka maglalagay ng third clasp to satisfy the tripod? You usually place it on the 4. Tatlong clasp, tripod. If that clasp on the 4 is the farthest, no? Provided it is very far from the fulcrum line, that already the third clasp in a class 2 can already function as the indirect retainer. No need for additional component. Yun na yun. Siya na yun. It functions as direct, indirect retainer. Di ba? Questions po? Naintindihan ako? Provided it's not near the fulcrum line, that can already serve as your indirect retainer. Kaya in a class 2, 3 clasp is usually sufficient. Wag lang masyadong malapit. Yung third class mo to the fulcrum line. Okay? Questions po? Okay. Walang tanong? So, pwede na siyang direct, indirect. No? In a case of a class 3, as I've said, no, tignan nyo kung anong classification nyo. No? In a class 4, since the fulcrum line is located anterior, the farther the indirect retainer to the fulcrum line, since the class 4 anterior yung iyong edentulous space, the best position for the indirect retainer is on the posterior, as far posterior to the fulcrum line as possible. That's the best position to satisfy the 4, the quadrilateral configuration. Dun sa isa, if you notice, it's class 2. How many clasp do you need? You need third clasp. And you need a third clasp. And yung third clasp mo, since it's farther away from the fulcrum line, can already function as your indirect retainer. In a class 2, the indirect retainer is opposite the distal extension side. You follow? Kung naglagay kayo ng rest on the same side as your distal extension, that is not the indirect retainer. Indirect retainer is farther away from the fulcrum line. Usually, it is placed opposite the distal extension side. It's additional rest, but it does not function as an indirect retainer. You follow? Question po. Hello? Hello? Are you still there? Okay. So, clear naman yon, di ba? Kung may tanong, tell me. Kasi hindi ko naman malalaman kung hindi nyo naintindihan o naintindihan nyo na, di ba? Sayang naman yung aking laway kung naintindihan nyo naman pala. Okay? So don't make it, we don't need too many clasp. In a class 1, okay na yung dalawang indirect, dalawang clasp. Ba't kailangan mo ng dalawang indirect? One for each distal extension. In a class 2, you just need 3 clasp. Pwede na yung tripod. And pag tinanong ka, asan ang indirect nito? Kunyari, it's a case, no, class 2 siya. Missing ang 6, 5. Okay, so yung missing ang 6, 5, missing ang 6 on the other side. Okay. Kung nag-3 clasp ka, naglagay ka ng clasp, syempre maglalagay ka ng clasp sa distal extension, mag-RPI ka doon, no? And then you're going to put your clasp on the 7 on the other side. Tapos maglalagay ka ng or let's say it's class 2, walang modification. no? So missing ang 5, 6, 7, 8 on one side, complete on the other side. How will you design that? Class 2. Anong abutment ang gagamitin mo? Siyempre maglalagay ka sa 4. RPI sa 4. What about the other side? Kung nilagay mo yung class mo sa 7 and 6, yung 6 mo hindi pwedeng indirect. Too close to the fulcrum line. If you place it on 4, especially on the mesial, yung class mo on the 4 can already function as your indirect retainer. No need to add a new component. It's your direct indirect retainers. Kaya nga, kung ang case makuha mo, may third molar, missing ang 5, 6, 7, 8. Hindi mo ginamit yung 8. How will you classify it? Class 1. Lalagay kayo ng RPI on the, ano nga sabi ko? 5. Kunyari, missing 6, 7. 6, 7, may 8, pero hindi mo ginamit yung 6. So, may 5 ka. No? So, you classify it as class 1. It requires now isang class sa 5, isang class sa 5. Since you treat it as a distal extension, better to use an RPI. But, kulang siya. Kasi hindi mo ginamit yung 8. Class 1 siya. So, you need an indirect retainer. 1 for each distal extension. So kahit class 3 siya sa classification, nagiging class 1. Kasi hindi mo ginamit. Para siyang distal extension. May rotational movement ka pa rin. Kaya nga, if you can use the third molar as an abutment, you use the third molar. Especially if it's a long span. You get me?
Opo. Yes po.
Kaya ako when I design, I classify it first. And it makes me, I don't know about you, but sa akin kasi, no, it makes it easier for me to make my design if I know how I will classify it. Kasi kung alam ko yung if I know, I've decided how to classify the case, I know how to proceed with my case. The first thing I do when I see a case, I usually classify it first. And my design will determine how I classify my case. Okay? So we have several factors that influence how effective the indirect retainer. As I've said, dapat effective ang direct retainer. Kasi an indirect retainer will not resist or will not prevent total dislodgement. It's the function of the direct retainer. Function of the clasp, not function of the indirect retainer. The indirect retainer only prevent movement away, rotational movement, rather than total dislodgement. And another is distance from the fulcrum line. The farther it is from the fulcrum line, the more effective the indirect retainer becomes, diba? And since in a class 1, the edentulous space is posterior, you place it as far anterior to the fulcrum line. If it's class 4, since in a class 4, the edentulous space is found in the anterior, you place the indirect retainer as far posterior as possible. Another is the effectiveness of the supporting structures. So, kahit indirect retainer siya, dapat it is placed also on the tooth, which is capable of absorbing the stress. And you have rigidity, no? Rigidity of the connectors. Since even if it's just a minor connector, it also helps in the distribution. So, kailangan rigid pa din ang minor connector. Okay. Okay. No? So, let's go to the denture base. And I think you know what the denture base is. No? And these are the requirement. No? It should the denture base should cover as much as possible. And I remember there was a board exam. Tinanong namin yung board examiner kasi ang daming bumagsak sa CD. No? So, anong usual problem? Now, sagot ng examiner, sabi niya ganun, it's the denture base. It's either underextended or overextended. Either way kasi, di ba, it can what? It can actually make the denture loose. Kasi that time, may patient pa eh. Buti nga kayo, wala na kayong patient ngayon. So, dati may patient. And yung examiner, inaano niya talaga, ang tawag dito, we had the faculty, 2 mouth mirror, nalagay niya dun sa posterior, gagalawin niya yung muscles. Siyempre, kung overextended ka, babagsak yan. Kasi yung muscle forces, no? Kung underextended ka, babagsak yan. So, di ba, no ifs and buts. Diba? Proper extension of your denture base. Whether it's underextended, overextended, usually you'll have a problem of stability and retention. Kaya very important, you know your landmarks. Ano yung dapat i-cover, ano yung hindi dapat i-cover. Especially in CD, since in CD, tissue support ka lang eh. So denture base plays a very important role in the retention and stability of your denture. No? So sabi niya, it's a problem of the denture base. It's either overextended or underextended. Okay? So it should be able to retain your artificial tooth, no? So sufficient strength, syempre, and proper relationship to the gingival tissue as well as the movable tissue. So ano yung procedure? What are the procedures, no? Kung medyo nag-recede na. So, di ba? One causes na nag-move yung denture, no? Even in CD or even in RPD, kahit may clasp ka, no? Kung hindi properly fitting yung denture base natin, di ba? Ang tendency for the denture to move. So, kung meron ka ng space, especially kung long span, na nag-recede na, anong procedure can we do to make the denture base fit properly on the tissue, on the ridge? What are the procedures that we can do to refit, hindi repeat, refit the denture base to the existing tissue? Anong ginagawa nyo pag maluwag na yung postiso? Nagko-complain na yung patient, Doc, pumapasok na yung food, tapos umaangat na po, gumagalaw na siya. Pag tinignan mo, may space ka na, nag-recede na po yung gilagid nyo. It has already receded. So, ang tendency talaga, kahit may clasp ka, pag kumagat yung patient, bababa yan kasi wala nang support eh. So, how do we refit the denture base to the existing tissue? Diba? You either what? You either reline or rebased. Diba? Anong difference ng reline from rebase? When you simply add to the existing denture base, ano yan? Reline, rebase.
Reline po?
Reline, no? So kung dadagdagan mo lang yung denture base mo with a new material, but you keep the existing denture base, we call it reline. If you're going to change all the denture base, except the pontics, except the artificial tooth, that's called rebase. No, usually kung maliit lang ang space, reline lang. But kung malaki na yung space, the distance, or the space required, usually better to do rebase. Ang maganda sa reline, di ba? Reline can be done chair side. Whereas if it's rebase, talagang kailangan laboratory procedures. Okay. Kaya nga, pag long span, mas maganda acrylic. Kasi ang acrylic, you can reline, you can rebase. You cannot do that if it's metal. Okay. We can classify denture base, now either tooth-borne or tissue-borne. And basically, they have the same function, except additional function kapag tooth tissue borne ang denture base mo, it has the additional function of support. Ang tooth borne, pag tooth borne, the ridge or the denture base does not really give you support. So additional function of the denture base ng tooth tissue bone is it provides for support. Kaya dapat maganda ang, that's why you should get a good impression not only of the abutment, but you have to have a good impression of the tissue so that you can actually construct the denture base better, properly. Okay. So we have, based on the material, it can either be acrylic or metal, no? And discuss na naman natin yan. So when is the acrylic, the resin recommended? So I think this is clear. Advantages ng acrylic, di ba, is easy to reline, to rebase, either mas madaling i-add, mas madaling bawasan, no? Mas madaling i-troubleshoot kung acrylic. If metal kasi, you can, very difficult to reduce, tapos practically, you cannot add. Kaya nga mas maganda ang metal kapag tooth-borne, short span. No? Walang masyadong recession that will happen. If you have insufficient space, mas maganda ang metal. Because metal can be made thin, the denture base can be made thin without risk of the metal being fractured or broken. Kasi mas matibay, di ba? No? If you're going to use metal pontics, no? Especially, syempre, we don't use metal pontics in the anterior, no? So, pwede ang metal pontics. So, especially on the posterior, no? Where aesthetic is not a primary concern. Kapag ang pontic is made of metal, dapat metal ang denture base. You need strength and you don't anticipate relining or rebasing. That's the requirement or indications ng metal denture base. Okay. Actually, no, these are the advantage of metal. No? Usually permanent. Less ang di ba, ang metal. You know, I had a case, no, nasunog yung denture, na itapon. Tapos sinunog yung basura. You know, yung kanyang framework, it's still there. Metal yung denture base, it's still there. The framework is still there. So I just had to clean it and do another acrylic. Yun yung maganda with metal. Okay. Another is it's a thermal conductor, no? So in terms of recession and in terms of resorption and resorption, better ang metal kasi metal nagko-conduct siya. Any change in temperature nafi-feel ng tissue. Di ba alam natin pag hindi na-stimulate properly ang tissue, may tendency mag-atrophy, nagre-recede. So ang acrylic kasi insulator siya. Ang metal it's conductor. So sabi, mas maganda ang metal kasi the ridge or the edentulous spaces receive better thermal changes in temperature. So mas less ang recession or resorption that is anticipated. Usually it's clean, no? Although sinasabi nila malansa daw ang metal, no? Di ba mas malansa ang acrylic? Ang metal, konting polish, konting brush mo lang di ba? Although sinasabi nila may lasang metal. But basically, it's easier to keep metal clean. No? It's more of the acrylic na medyo nag-absorb ng stain, nag-absorb ng smell, di ba? No? Metal hindi. And weight and bulk. Maganda sa metal if you need weight. Gusto mong mabigat. Without the necessarily bulk. Ayaw mo ng bulky. Pero may weight. Metal. Sabi nga nila, anong difference ng 1 kilo of metal, iron, to 1 kilo ng cotton. Pareho silang 1 kilo. Pero anong difference? Siyempre, mas malaki yung yung cotton, di ba? To make it 1 kilo, madami. Whereas ang iron, mas konti. So if you want weight, gusto mong mabigat, without the necessary bulk, mas maganda ang metal. So yung iba nagsasabi, mas maganda ang 1 piece sa lower. Kasi mabigat. Mas maganda ang assemblage sa upper. Kasi yung pull ng gravity. So mas magaang sa upper better. Kasi mas malaki ang tendency ng pull ng gravity. Sa lower kasi, di ba, ang pull is ng gravity is pababa. So kung mabigat yung denture mo sa baba, mas malaki ang pull ng gravity. Sa upper kasi, pag masyadong mabigat, if your denture in the upper is too heavy, mas malaki ang tendency for gravity to move it away from the tissue. Mas madidislodge. Okay? Okay, so let's go to the different replacement teeth, no? And when we choose Pontics, di ba, kapag anterior teeth, usually ang requirement niyan is aesthetics. So yung color, yung shape, etc., etc. But in the posterior, usually, when we choose Pontics or replacement teeth are selected sa posterior to satisfy function, occlusion. What will determine the functional requirement ng posterior teeth? Usually, this is based on cusp angle. Sa upper aesthetics, di ba? So, anong tinitignan nyo, no? Shape, color, size, how you place the teeth. So, usually aesthetics. But in the posterior, what we check is the cusp. Yung ang tawag nila doon, cusp angle. So, based on the material, it can either be acrylic, porcelain. Now, sa partial denture, porcelain is usually not recommended. Pag partial denture, even in CD ngayon, di ba, hindi na masyadong nire-recommend ang porcelain. Ang nun is you choose na lang a good acrylic na maganda ang kanyang tawag dito, high ang kanyang abrasive strength. No? Pero not actually even in CD. I don't know. No? So ano sabi sa inyo sa CD? Tapos na ba kayo ng CD? So normally hindi ginagamit ang porcelain now. No? It's too abrasive, too no, and ang naa-abrade, ang nagre-resorb is not the porcelain tooth, it's the ridge. Mas malaki ang resorption, di ba, that happens if the tooth are porcelain. And in the case ng RPD, ng partial, since why is it not recommended ang porcelain? Hindi ang FPD ang porcelain sa RPD. Kasi usually, pag sinabi mong RPD, most of the time, it contacts a natural tooth. Diba? So, ang nangyayari, it's the natural tooth na naa-abrade, not the Pontics. Yun yung disadvantage ng acrylic, ng porcelain. Plus, ang hindi siya advisable sa RPD kasi sa RPD you have spaces, may mga alanganing spaces, di ba? Have you tried reducing a porcelain tooth? A porcelain Pontic? Pudpud na yung inyong stone, no? Hindi mo pa nakitang nabawasan yung porcelain, especially if it's a good porcelain. So sa RPD kasi have spaces, di ba? Sometimes you really have to make bawas the tooth to fit into that space. So hindi siya ganun ka. Ang hirap kasi niyang bawasan. And ideally, hindi binabawasan ng porcelain as much as possible. Ang porcelain kasi, so by the way, these are the advantages ng porcelain and acrylic. No? Ang porcelain kasi, di ba, very high ang kanyang abrasive strength. Di siya napupudpod. Ang napupudpod yung tissue, yung bone. yung bone resorption. Pero mababa ang kanyang impact stress. The porcelain teeth usually mas malaki, there's bigger tendency for the porcelain teeth to break kapag binawasan na. And dapat, ang porcelain should occlude with another porcelain. Pontics not FPD. So dapat either, no, you do not, di ba, alam niyo naman yan, di ba, you do not occlude a natural tooth to a porcelain pontic. Kasi it's the natural tooth na mapupudpod, not the porcelain tooth or the porcelain pontics. That is why it's usually not recommended for RPD. Okay? Questions po? Okay, no? So, based on the, I think this is better discussed in CD. Di ba? Sa CD naman ito dinidiscuss. So, kailan ginagamit yung anatomic, no? So, usually maganda ang anatomic in terms of function. Pag sinabi mong anatomic, di ba? Maganda yung cusp, no? And maganda ang anatomic kapag maganda ang ridge. And then you have the semi-anatomic, no? Usually, di ba, kailan nire-recommend ang non-anatomic kapag wala ka ng ridge, flat na ang ridge. Kaya lang, ang problem is, no, wala kang masyadong masticatory function. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Kaya pa? Ayaw na? Okay lang kung ayaw niya na. Hello? Okay na kayo?
Opo.
So, stop na tayo? It's okay with me. No? Kaya lang we're supposed to stay until what? Pero kung di nyo na kaya, okay lang. It's okay with me. Hello po. So, do we continue or we stop?
Continue po.
So, okay pa. Kaya pa. Okay. So, let's go to tooth tissue-borne partial denture design. You know, they say that the true RPD is a distal extension. And when it comes to the design, actually, no, walang pinag-uusapan on a tooth-borne. Basta aesthetics, no? Basically, walang masyadong controversy when it comes to a tooth-borne. It's the problem, the design actually becomes a problem kapag it's distal extension or if it's a tooth tissue-borne. And in a case of a distal extension, no, there are several factors that influence the support for a distal extension. So one is the quality of the ridge. Kailangan maganda ang ridge, di ba? And not all areas of the ridge is considered as supporting. For the ridge, no, usually yung buccal shelf, di ba, that's the, sabi nga nung isang prosthodontist, no, makuha mo lang daw sa lower, sabi nilang ganon, no, ang makuha mo lang daw yung buccal shelf, okay ka na. Sabi niya, no, even if the ridge, the anterior ridge is so resorbed, makuha mo lang daw yung buccal shelf region, no, your denture already has it's also, satisfied na yung support mo, no? And stability. Why? No, because yung bakal shelf at saka yung ng residual does not resorb. Hindi daw yan nagre-resorb. Kaya makuha mo lang daw yan, okay na yan for a denture. No? So in the case of yan yung major stress, di ba? Bearing area for the mandibular, no? Denture, especially sa CD, di ba? Ini-stress yan dahil nga you get support coming from the tissue. So dapat maganda impression mo, no? So sa RPD usually that's not really a problem, not too much of a problem kasi meron naman tayong tooth support. Okay. Another factor that influences the support is the extent ng residual ridge covered by the denture base. Okay. The more you cover the residual ridge, diba, the better, as long as you do not overextend. Proper coverage, no? And the more ang coverage ng residual ridge by the denture base, the better you'll get support. No? Of course, you have the type and accuracy of the impression registration, and there are two types of impression. One is called physiologic or functional impression, and the other is selected impression technique. No? So, yung physiologic or functional, remember we have three philosophies: broad stress, stress equalization, and the third philosophy, they call it the functional or the physiologic principle. Ang belief nila kasi, the third principle, ang belief nila, if you record down the residual ridge when it is functional form. Kasi di ba, when we do one impression technique, isang impression lang, we only record anatomic. We record the tooth anatomic, you record the ridge anatomic. In the physiologic or functional impression technique, no, ideally, ang gusto nila, you record the tooth anatomic, you record the ridge functional. And there is no single technique who'll do that unless you make an individual tray. Ang sabi nila, dapat daw ang ridge mo, no, recorded siya kapag functional form rather than anatomic form. Para when there is function, the denture base now can adapt better to the function. Kaya itong technique na yung physiologic principle, nire-rely nila kagad yung denture. Ina-anticipate nila yung tawag dito, yung change in the denture base once there is a functional force. Mas mababa yung, mas makapal yung denture base in anticipation, no, na pagbaba ng denture base o ng pagbaba ng ridge during functional force. Di ba, we have anatomic and you have the functional form of the ridge kasi nga movable ang ridge So better if the ridge is constructed in a physiologic or functional form. Ang belief nila, mas nag-a-adjust yung denture mo kung ang ridge was recorded and done when the ridge is actually in the functional form rather than anatomic form. But no single impression will do that. You need second impression. Selected impression, tayo kasi, I don't know, no? But during our time, no? Sa CD, I remember sa CD, di ba? Pag naglagay tayo ng spacer para sa impression material, no? Pantay, yung spacer, kami noon, ang gamit namin noon, asbestos sheet. I don't know. What do you use for, when you make your individual tray? Anong material yung nilalagay nyo to provide space for your impression pag gumawa kayo ng custom tray, ng individual tray? Kami noon, asbestos sheet. Nalagyan namin ng asbestos sheet yung cast. No? Pero ano siya, pantay, even throughout. In the selected impression technique, ang nire-recommend nila, those part ng ridge which can withstand forces. Don't put relief. Para pag may force, the force goes into the area na kaya. Kaya, primary denture-bearing area naman siya eh. So, kaya niya. Whereas, dun sa area which is considered to be non-denture-bearing area, kailangan lalagyan mo siya ng relief. Para hindi siya masyadong it's not too, hindi, ang tawag dito, not too much force is placed on that area kasi hindi niya kaya. You direct the forces more on the area which is capable of supporting or capable of absorbing the stress. Kaya they call it selected impression. You select alin yung ilalagay mo ng relief, ilalagay mo ng ano. So may ganong technique. No? Kung like the ruge, kailangan kasi ayaw mo yung ma-impinge, ilalagyan mo siya. Pero yung residual ridge, minsan kasi nga kaya naman niya. So, walang relief. Para pag nasa bibig na ng patient yung denture, more of the forces will be directed on the area which is capable of absorbing. Okay? And in the case of I don't know if you've heard of the altered cast technique. No, yung mga physiologic basing philosophy recommend the altered cast technique for distal extension. The first impression, you record the tooth and the ridge anatomic. And since you cannot record the functional form kung nandyan yung ipin eh. The ipin kasi will put stopper, parang magsa-stop siya kahit anong baba mo, hindi yan, you cannot record the ridge supporting. So what they suggest is, no? Kasi ang physiologic basing philosophy, sabi niya, record the tooth anatomic, record the ridge, record the tooth anatomic, you record the ridge supporting. Para mas maganda daw mag-adjust yung denture once it is in function. So what they do is they record the tooth anatomic, yung first impression, nire-record yung supporting anatomic, and then they make parang individual tray. No? They make a denture, no? So, ang mangyari ngayon, no? So they make a parang temporary denture, temporary framework, and then ang ire-record mo lang ngayon is the ridge. Tapos you ask the patient to bite. Para mare-record mo yung, no, so they will make a second impression. They put yung parang tray on the residual ridge. So dun lang ilalagay yung, that's the only position where the impression material is placed, no? And then they will ask the patient to bite so that the ridge is recorded anatomic. Tapos puporan siya and then kinakat yung anatomic, tapos yung functional idinidikit dun sa anatomic. Kaya they call it altered cast technique. So ididikit, they will attach the ridge portion that was recorded functional to the tooth which is recorded anatomic. And that kaya they call it altered cast technique. Ina-altered yung cast. So this is the altered cast technique. You'll have a cast where the tooth is recorded anatomic, the ridge recorded functional. Sabi nila, this is the best type of, the best way to equalize yung forces between the tooth and the ridge. Is to record the ridge anatomy so that the tooth can adjust better when there is a force or where there is a loading force. So it depende yan ngayon kung ano yung philosophy that you follow. Tayo, since kayo, no, you're still in school, dito tayo sa stress equalization philosophy. Sa broad stress distribution philosophy. Kaya nga kailangan marami kang, may indirect retainer ka, kailangan ganito, no? So, kasi ang principle ng natin when we design, you try to distribute the stress to as much an area as possible, to as broad as possible. So that is called the broad stress philosophy. But maraming philosophy actually. Okay? Questions po? Okay, no? And then of course, accuracy, no? Design ng partial denture. That is why you need an indirect retainer kasi the indirect retainer helps to stabilize your distal extension. So essential in a tooth tissue-borne partial denture to have an indirect retainer. It helps improve. It helps control yung movement. And the total occlusal load. Okay. Total occlusal load depends on several factors. One is the number of teeth, replacement teeth. The less number of teeth, the less load it generates. So siguro, kaya hindi na nire-restore ang third molar. Mas konti yung pontic. The more teeth you have, replacement teeth you have, the more load it usually generates. Another is the width of the occlusal surface, di ba? When you choose pontics, you choose pontics with narrow occlusal table. Kasi the wider the occlusal table of the pontics generates the more it generates more of the load. So hindi maganda yung masyadong malapad. And the last is efficiency, occlusal. So efficiency both in centric as well as in eccentric position. So any deficiency or if it lacks efficiency, syempre mas mahirap kumain eh, 'di ba? Have you seen patients na flat na ang ridge, flat na yung pontics? What happened, di ba? Parang gumaganon lang yung, di ba sabihin siya, ay, anong hirap kumain eh. Parang nagsislide lang yung food, no? Hindi nila nag-grind properly. So it takes more effort to be able to grind, to triturate the food. So usually, no? So yung sinasuggest, kung okay pa naman yung inyong framework, palitan na lang natin yung pontics. Para it will restore the occlusal table, it will restore the occlusal efficiency para mas maganda yung biting force. Okay? So any deficiency, no, especially during chewing, usually syempre, no, syempre mas mahirap kumain kapag flat na yung iyong dentures. So, it's time for you to what? Time for you to suggest to your patient, no, kung one piece siya, palitan na lang yung pontics. Lalo na kung fitted pa ang dentures, fitted pa ang framework, pwede namang palitan lang yung pontics. Okay? Okay? No? And in any design or in any philosophy, no, everybody agrees, or all philosophy agrees, that in a distal extension, you need to protect the tooth. So, kasi nga, ang tooth is fixed, ang ridge movable, so ang mas better ang tissue to adjust to an extra load. Yung since ang tawag dito, since the denture moves, no? So, mas na-accommodate niya yung force. Whereas, if it's the tooth, since the tooth is fixed, no, in a distal extension, it's the tooth which is usually subjected to greater stresses. So, all the different philosophy tawag dito, agrees that you need to protect the tooth. And one way of protecting the tooth is yung length ng edentulous space. The longer the edentulous space, the more stress is transferred to the abutment. Kaya ang recommendation is keep your edentulous spaces short. Kasi the longer, the more stress. And usually, it's transferred to the abutment. Another is the quality of the ridge. No? So kung mas when you do your assessment of the case, di ba, titignan mo, sino ba ang better? Which has a nicer form? Is it the tooth or the ridge? If you have not a very good abutment, then give it more to the ridge. Kung maganda naman yung ridge mo, give more of the support to the ridge, no? And it depends on the form of the residual ridge. Diba, ayaw nyo ng movable. Gusto mo ang ridge, no? The tissue covering, you want what? Anong magandang ridge, diba? Rounded, smooth, high ang walls, no? So, you don't like resorb, no? You don't like movable tissues, no? So, kung maganda naman ang ridge, give more of the stress to the ridge to protect the tooth. The third is qualities of a clasp. No? Clasp should always be designed to be passive. Kailangan passive siya para hindi siya nag-distribute ng stress. So as we mentioned already about the clasp, so ako personally, no? Kung tatanungin niyo ako, when the patient asks me, Doc, do I need to remove the denture? May iba sasabihin sa'yo, remove it at night so that the tissue can breathe. Ako, I always ask the patient, comfortable ba siya? Masakit ba siya or anything, no? Kasi kung passive ang clasp mo, it doesn't do anything. Ang masama yun kapag active ang clasp. Kaya nga dapat passive ang inyong clasp. Kasi imagine natutulog kayo